Hey Knights, so I'm decided that I'm gonna do 4 chapters from now on. Yeah, so this is the next 4 chapter segment. Chapter 32. Okay, okay, now that you're done playing Ken doll with us, can we eat now? Because staying up all night, watching you writher in pain, has really worked up my appetite, and this human body is certainly screaming for food. Raphael's tone dripped with sarcasm. Making jokes at my pain? Not funny, but I'll let it go. I looked at them. He did have a point. I saw dark circles under each of their eyes. I instantly felt bad for making them worry of me, even though I couldn't help it. Still, it felt nice that they did worry, even Raphael. You know what? You guys just sit down. You look exhausted. I feel just fine. Today, I'm going to make you breakfast. No, it's fine. What's so hard about pouring some cereal? I'll get it, said Michelangelo kindly. He looked the worst of it. I imagine he sat there with me all night, watching over me, worrying. No, I mean a real breakfast, cooked and everything. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get some supplies. But the nearest grocery store is a good 20-minute walk, if you take the tunnels. I could hear the masked impatience in Raphael's voice. Oh no, there's one more power I've got yet to try out. Apparently, I can teleport. I'll be back in 10 minutes max, I promise. April, can you lend me a few bucks? She pulled the 20 out of her purse. But before she handed it to me, she asked, Wait, won't that drain energy from your ring, though? I looked down at my ring. The bright mutagen lime color had gone barely 1 shade darker. No, it's only about a mile. As long as I stay within range of them, it'll recharge just fine. The real juice hog is the transformation, now that I'm linked to them. It's quadrupled. And how do you know we won't be dragged along with you? Well, Leonardo has a point. I didn't really think about that. I doubt it, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I took the money from April and stepped back. Nearest grocery store, I whispered, shutting my eyes tight. I balled up my fists, squeezing them tight in concentration. I felt the metal ring band pushing against my palm. Then I felt it grow warmer and warmer. Like trying to start an old engine on a cold day. I opened my eyes in a flash of green. The layer disappeared from around me. The green light encircled me as I traveled through a black hole of darkness. It was warm and comforting. Strangely, it felt like a hug from an old friend. Familiar and safe. I appeared in an alleyway beside what looked like a small grocery store. Then a crazy thought appeared. What if I appeared inside the store in front of all those people? Man, that would have really freaked people out. How could I have not thought of that? I really shouldn't be so careless. I ran my left thumb over my ring. I knew it brought me here, out of sight on purpose. You take good care of me. I'm sorry for the shitty way I've been treating you. By getting the mutagen on you, I told it. Yes, I do realize I'm talking to an inanimate object. That might be crazy, but then again, what's not crazy anymore? I walked up to the automatic doors, doing the Jedi hand wave as they slid open. Use the Force, I thought to myself. Something I've done ever since I watched Star Wars with my brother. I grabbed a cart and power walked through the aisles, quickly grabbing what I needed as I knew the boys must be starving. And I was getting pretty hungry myself. A stick of butter, some OJ, bacon, eggs, cheese, and a few other breakfast essentials. I stood in line and my total rang up to 1903. Perfect. I grabbed my bag items, careful not to break the carton of eggs, and walked back into the alley. I closed my eyes and focused on the layer. The same feeling of a warm hug passed over me, and I appeared in the kitchen. Master Splinter, still seated at the table, reading another newspaper, noticed my arrival and greeted me with a smile. Then I heard the world's loudest snore. I noticed the boys passed out against each other on the couch. It was adorable, in a really hot way. Shame, shame, Roxanne. Stop gawking at your friends. I scolded myself in my head as I took an ancient frying pan out from a cupboard underneath the sink. I cracked an egg on the side of the frying pan. Its contents oozed out and hit the oil with an immediate sizzle, waking Michelangelo with a jerk, knocking Leonardo, who was asleep leaning against him, almost off the couch, waking him up as well. Oh, you're back. I was worried, he rubbed his eyes. Yes, so worried you fell asleep. I can see that, I laughed and began adding more eggs to the pan, stirring them vigorously to make scrambled eggs. Cooking this many at once brought back memories of the time when my stepmother was off the lot visiting her family, or the times when she got the flu and I had to help Tia Marie in the cookhouse trailer frying up breakfast for the many hungry circus hands. Need some help? Leo asked while trying to move his arm out from under Raphael, who had fallen on top of it, and surprisingly was still out like a rock. No thanks, you guys have done enough. I got this. Just go sit at the table. When the bacon started sizzling and the room filled with that delicious scent, I saw movement on the couch. Donatello and Raphael were stirring. Houston, we have signs of life. As Donatello and Raph stumbled, still half asleep, to the dining room, I took the toast out of the oven and set my store-bought box of cinnamon rolls on the table, along with a carton of orange juice and some chipped drink mugs I found in the cabinet. Where's April? I asked as I carefully scooped egg onto each of the 6 plates I had placed out on the countertop. School, Donatello explained as he reached for the carton. What's this? He asked, holding up the box. He held up the box of OJ. Juice from an orange, I explained. Then I smiled to myself as I sprinkled cheese over the bright yellow pad of scrambled eggs on each place. This might just be a first for them, a real home-cooked breakfast. I mean, they did live on a diet of algae and worms till they were 15. Then they discovered pizza, and that's pretty much all they ate, save for the cereal in the mornings. But I bet they only started eating that because April lived with them while the Kerrang were hunting for her. And she probably couldn't take the pizza 3 meals a day. A few pieces of bacon, some toast. There, done. Taking 2 at a time, I set the plate of food at each and every sitting. We would have to eat the eggs with spoons because that's the extent of silverware in this house. Well, not including Splinter's chopsticks. That I now noticed he had produced and set beside his plate. I don't want any of that. Mikey trailed off, staring at the plate in front of him. I don't know what any of that is. Mikey trailed off, staring at the plate in front of him. But it smells delicious, he continued enthusiastically. I sat down and noticed all supermodels beside me, waiting patiently, as if for me to give the battle command. Bon appetit! They dug in. It was funny to watch them fumble with the spoons, unsure of how to work it with 5 fingers instead of the usual 3. Ironic, really. It was hard to force down my laughter as I tried to chew my eggs, with the sound of constant moaning beside me. Only Master Splinter had remained composed as he gracefully picked up a bacon strip with the chopsticks. Roxanne, I must commend you. This is delicious. It has been years since I've eaten a prepared breakfast. I'd forgotten how nice it is to have a woman around the house. I blushed slightly, honored by the master's praise. All that time working in the cookhouse actually paid off. Donatello gulped his food. Hey, we've had April here before. April can't even make ice cubes. Raphael shook his head. The boys and Splinter laughed, but must be an inside joke that I never got to see. Well, they do say that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, I chuckled. Well then, consider me yours, joked Leonardo. Michelangelo held up a piece of my perfectly fried bacon. This stuff is amazing. What is it? It's called bacon. It's delicious, right? I replied. It's like one of the best things I've ever tasted. He closed his eyes, savoring the deliciousness. You know you can get it on pizza, right? You're kidding. He stared at me in disbelief. That's it, guys. My life has just officially been made. Chapter 33. Do you want to know something strange? Asked Donatello as he helped me clear the table. Hit me with your best shot, I joked sarcastically as I found nothing strange anymore. At first, I couldn't figure out how to use these fingers. He held them up for a second like he was playing an imaginary piano. I kept losing grip with that spoon, till I saw you holding it, like an instinct took over, and I immediately knew what to do. Now that you mention it, I felt the same way, agreed Raphael. Yeah, I guess it's like that time when I showed you how to hold the spoon. Only this time it was backwards, and it was me needing kitchen utensils. Mikey's eyes widened like he just realized something important. Maybe the whole see once and learn thing has reversed itself, noted Leonardo. Then he continued cautiously. We better see if this affects our ninjutsu as well. We had been in the training room for a good hour and a half, and it wasn't looking so great. The guys could perform their hand-to-hand ninjutsu moves from memory just fine. But they were human now, and weaker, much weaker, slower, and less powerful. Their jumps were half as high, strikes and blows half as powerful. And apparently some of my own klutziness was thrown into the mix, as they were occasionally tripping and falling hard against the wooden floor. Ouch, that hurts, cried Leonardo from the floor that Michelangelo had just kicked him down onto. Why did that hurt? They never used to hurt, he complained, rubbing his now exposed shellless back. No shell, I pointed out. Remember I told you about that. It acts like a shock-absorbent armor. Without it, you just land on flesh and bone, and that hurts. I was sitting on the floor as well, exhausted, but Master Splinter insisted I help them through this and do it along with them. How could you have fought like this week when you're a human, Sensei? Leo asked his teacher. The rat smiled, obviously amused at Leonardo's flight. One does not need to be a walking armored car to be a ninja, my son, his eyes full of years of experience. How does he come up with all this deep, inspiring, and wise stuff? And always just the same when you need it most. It's like their ninja-grade master how-to booklet, full of tips and tricks on raising warriors. Leonardo nodded in respect. All right, that's enough hand-to-hand. Let's see if you can still handle your weapons, the sensei ordered. Oh, thank heavens, I'm beat. Just moving this real quick. Okay. I just spent the last 90 minutes jumping and kicking, then jumping again, trying not to fall flat on my face, which I did a lot anyways, and face-planting the hard wooden floor. Face it, normal ninjaing is just not one of the things I'm good at. I limped over to where the giant rat was standing and slumped to my knees. There was a clatter. I looked over to the boys and watched as they tried to pick up the weapons that had fallen through their hands to the floor. Man, just when I thought I was going to get a break. I sighed, standing up and walking over. I began picking the weapons off the floor and placing them firmly in the hands of each of their owners. I was just handing Leo his content when I heard a cry of pain behind me, followed by the sound of something hitting the wall. I turned and saw Michelangelo with one nunchuck in his hand and his other hand rubbing his head. I just hit myself in the head with my own weapon. How is that even possible? He was disappointed in himself. For the next hour after that, no matter how hard I tried to show them how to handle their weapons, it just did not work. They constantly fumbled and dropped them, just like me. Even when Monster Splinter tried to show them, they failed. Which subconsciously I knew would happen because they are bound to me, and only I could show them. I'd never thought I'd say this in all my years as a Grandmaster, but enough. This is ridiculous. Hand-to-hand combat will just have to do, should the situation arise. He walked off, violently rubbing his temples, probably disappointed in the fact that a decade's worth of weapons training has been temporarily flushed down the toilet. I grinned as I hit purchase on Donatello's computer. 5 ringside tickets to New York's semi-permanent show, the Big Apple Circus. Finally, I would get to do what I've been promising myself I would, take my heroes out to a circus. Now that they are human, it's the perfect opportunity. I'm going to make tonight awesome for them, and hopefully it will ease the pain of being weak and human. Hopefully they will see the bright side. I peered over to the living room. Leonardo was watching Space Heroes. Michelangelo and Donnie and Ralph were all in their rooms, probably catching up on sleep as the training session totally was much harder on their bodies now that they are human. It was around 3, and we hadn't eaten lunch yet. But I did make their breakfast rather late in the morning, so nobody has gotten hungry yet. But I suspect any second now someone will make their way out of their room and start rummaging the fridge. So I set the laptop down, and not saying a word, moved from the table to the couch and plopped down next to Leonardo to watch his favorite show. Chapter 34. I laughed as Captain Ryan slapped his overly excited first mate. We were about 20 minutes into our second episode, and each episode, at least twice, that nervous little man would get slapped, and each time I would laugh. Man, it's sad what I find funny. A frightened yelp cried out from down the hall. My gut told me it was Michelangelo. He had a very distinctive, slightly dumb cheerleader and horror movie type scream. I immediately jumped off the couch and hightailed down the highway, passing Donatello and Ralph, who were standing sleepingly in their doors, confused and yawning. I pushed his door open, with Leonardo right behind me. I'm okay, guys, I'm fine. I just woke up and rubbed my eyes and saw these, and it scared the shell out of me, he exclaimed, holding out his hands, obviously trying to relax himself. Michelangelo's breathing was heavy. He sat up and put his head in his hands. Oh, this is going to take some getting used to. Everything okay? Donnie peeked his head through the door. Yeah, everything's fine, I answered quickly. Oh, did little Mikey have a big scary nightmare? Taunted Raphael. I gave him a glare. What? He smirked innocently, putting his hands up. It was a joke. You know what a joke is, right, Traveler? I shook my head. I'm glad that you guys are all up. Now I can take you up for a night on the town. We're going to have an early dinner and go see a circus, I told them, giddily with excitement. No way, asked Leo with excited disbelief. Awesome. Raphael nodded nodded at me, obviously trying to be cool and contained. Dinner, like above ground in one of those places where the humans go, that can actually see and are not blind. And they're gonna see us, and we won't have to hide in the shadows. Mikey's eyes bright with anticipation. Yes, Mikey, we're going inside a restaurant. I smiled at his adorable rambling. That sounds cool and all, but we should really ask Master Splinter first, warned Donnie. Done and done. I shot him my usual know-it-all grin. He gave me absolute control over your human experiences, as he put it, since it was I who made you this way. I can take you wherever I want, as long as we stay out of trouble. Don't cause any scenes. I looked at Raphael for that one. And always keep our shell cells with us. It's a tongue twister. Well, it looks like she's the boss. Boss? Nah. Raphael nudged Theo in the ribs, chuckling. All right, then, let's do this. Donatello started bolting for the door. I held up my hand. Hold up, just a minute here, Curly Top. You can't go out to the circus looking like that. I pointed to his hair, which had become a frizzy bedhead mess, and then to his clothing. His shirt was untucked out from his black pants, and his vest had been hardly put on backwards. I looked around. The rest of the guys looked sloppy as well, messy hair and everything. None of you can. I laughed and playfully dragged Tommy by his collar towards the bathroom across the hallway. Come on, guys, let's get you fixed up. I don't want to be seen in the company of a bunch of bums. After a lot of brushing, a little hair mousse, some tucking and buttoning, the guys looked smashing. And I mean that in the if looks could kill I'd be dead on the floor kind of way. I'd never get used to being crowded in a bathroom with that much hotness at once. Can we just go now? Begged Raphael, obviously annoyed. Just one more thing, I told him as we entered the living room. And what would that be? He rolled his eyes. Me. I winked and began concentrating on the clothes I wanted. My violet blouse and dark blue jeans began to merge, the color stretching till it was a deep blood red, and the cotton and denim fabrics became chiffon and silk. The materials twisted and turned till it was a slightly above the knees, low-cut dress that covered over the neck and tied in the back. Slightly overkill for a Tuesday night, but in the company of these gorgeous human beings, I needed to look somewhat pretty. I looked at my feet, and a pair of rhinestone black pumps caught my eye. I had made it then with just barely a 1-inch heel, and I didn't want to tower over all my 5'6" male companions. I smiled as I saw the boys' reaction. It was the same reaction I'd given them when I first saw them as humans. Well, scratch that the second time I saw them as humans, but because the first time was, well, awkward. Tongues back in your mouths, please, I joked. I'm not one of those girls who doesn't know that they are sexy. I'm a circus chick, and towny men fawned over me 24/7, and yes, it may have made me a bit cocky about it. I'm not arrogant, I just know that I look good. And Raphael, my eyes are up here, I teased, noticing that those particular green eyes had found their way below my neckline. But I'm not going to be a bitch about it. Boys will be boys. At least he's straight, I thought to myself, remembering the old joke the Lionheart handler used to tell us. Are you sure April couldn't make it? Asked Donatello for like the third time we exited the little Italian restaurant that I had picked out. No, she had to go to a sleepover with some of her friends from school. I wonder if she's met this universe version of Imra yet, or if this parallel even has an Imra, or even if we're in. Dinner went pretty well, actually. It took me a while to get the guys to stop cheering in the alleyways and hiding in the shadows as we were walking towards the restaurant at first. And I had to order for everyone as they were much too nervous and fidgety in their seats, looking around at all the people, not used to being seen by humans, and frankly, I think it scared them. Claustrophobic might almost describe it. I ordered everyone spaghetti with meatballs, which I realized was a terrible idea since they, never having eaten it before, got spaghetti sauce everywhere, like 3-year-old children. Getting some very odd looks from the patrons on the next table over, I might add. That's when I went to register to pay the bills. The large Italian man behind the register shook his head as he rang up my total. A lovely little belle like you, with 4 strong boys, and they make you pick up the check. What is this world coming to? His accent was thick, just like the mustache on his face. Oh, them. I turned slightly to look at my sauce-covered friends, who stared at me like lost, waiting for me to come back. They are special needs. Oh, he said sympathetically, then proceeding to take 20% off my bill. We got a ride in a minivan that had been converted into a bright yellow New York City taxi, and arrived at the giant stadium building with a good 20 minutes to spare. After getting inside, I handed the usher my ticket stubs, then grabbed Mackie's arm in in order to keep him from getting lost in the huge crowds that had gathered to watch the show. The orange-haired teenage usher led us to the front row. Not bad. Raphael gave me a half smile as he sat down on one of the velvet-covered seats. For you, my friends, only the best. I took on my most mafia-like tone. I've been meaning to ask you, how are you paying for all this? Questioned Donnie curiously. I pulled an emerald green credit card out of my purse. My magic just doesn't work on iPads, you know, I winked. Yes, it was forgery. Yes, I know it's wrong, but these guys have saved the world countless times, and I'm sure that the multi-zillion, yes, zillion dollar bank account that is untraceably connected to won't miss a few $100. Stay here. I'm going to get you guys something that I think you'll like. I head for the concession stands in order. I returned just when the stage lights were beginning to dim, passing Leo and Donnie to sit in the middle of the four of them. I handed each of them a giant, fluffy, still warm cotton candy cone, keeping the box of popcorn for myself, as I've never really been a fan of cloud on a cone. The opening act was the flying trapeze team, carefully swinging 50 feet in the air as a team of 5. 4 flyers and a catcher, all wearing bright peacock masks. Something deep down told me that there was something vaguely familiar about this act, in the style of flight, but I brushed it off. My heart melted at the awe on my friends' faces, especially Michelangelo's. Even Raphael laughed when the clowns came in. Leo watched in awe when the Cortitionist's act was on, and gasped as they began to bend into physically impossible poses. In awe, later on, Donnie questioned me about the physics of a human cannonball, then commented on how he was going to build one himself. During intermission, it took me a while to talk Donnie into riding the elephant, but in the end, he caved when I told him we would get our pictures taken and he could show it to April. I could feel Raphael's arm tighten in fear around my waist. The gentle giant swayed side to side under us as it walked. After the ride, Michelangelo practically begged to get more cotton candy, which of course I said yes, because who can say no to that face? We made our way back to our seats just as the second half of the show started. High in the air on the Roman rings was a woman in a shining gold costume, with a matching Phantom of the Opera-style mask. Fitting, since she was working to the soundtrack. My mom loved the movie, and I can still remember her humming the song as she cooked. The aerial artist was far up that I couldn't see her face clearly. That tiny feeling of vagueness that I felt during the flying trapeze had now come back with a vengeance. This is the worst case of deja vu I've ever experienced. I just can't place it. Hey, that's just like the stuff you did back in the lair, whispered Mikey. Another giant pang of deja vu. After she was done, more clowns entered the ring, performing slapstick dressed as plumbers and whacking each other in the face with giant foam wrenches. The lights went up, and a solo spotlight appeared at the top of the high wire. A man in his late 20s stood there, taking in the applause. He wore a striking red and gold jumpsuit. When he turned to face our side of the ring, I think my heart stopped beating. No way this is possible. Everything clicked. The deja vu suddenly explained. Tears welled up in my eyes as I began quietly sobbing. Leonardo noticed immediately. Roxanne, what's wrong? Are you okay? He placed his hand on my back, eyes wide and worried. By now the others had noticed and stared at me in concern. That I managed to get out in between sobs. That's my brother. Chapter 35. He was older, much older, but it was definitely him. Even from the very top of the high wire, I just knew. It was his smile, that amazing smile that gave him away. The one that seemed to light up the stadium. It was the same bright smile that cheered me on as I first tried to name all the Ninja Turtles when I was 2 years old. His dark, moosey brown hair matched my own. He had gotten tall, very tall, like our father. Puberty had been good to him. He looked amazingly handsome and strong. Your brother? But that's impossible. He's dead, asked Raphael in shock. How is this possible? I can't even think straight. My stomach is all twisted into knots, silent tears streaming down my face. It hurt so much just seeing his face again after all these years. I'd understand why I'm crying. I should be happy about this, but still the tears flowed, and there was nothing I could do to stop them. He is dead. I watched them haul his body away. I clasped my hand to my face, salty tears blurring my vision. The boys stared at each other awkwardly, not sure what to do. Leonardo shot Raphael a frantic do-something look, and much to our surprise, he awkwardly put his arms around my shoulder and pulled me up against him. On instinct, I guess I buried my face into the leather of his jacket sleeve, inhaling the warm scent of the material. The catcher in the trapeze act, and the lady in the Roman rings. Could it be? What? I heard him ask. It works in all the movies, he exclaimed, his brothers as he gently stroked my back, trying to calm me down. I'm glad there was nobody in the row behind us, because I was probably causing quite the scene. After a few moments, I regained myself, and when I looked up again, my brother was gone, replaced by 4 beautiful black horses dancing around the ring. I sat up, wiping my eyes, a little embarrassed. Thank you, Raphael. I needed that. I thanked him sincerely, smiling weakly. It's nothing. He grinned back at me, ever so slightly. Okay, better now. I think that was shock, I told them, trying to relax my breathing. Roxanne, I've been doing some calculating. Donatello leaned past Leonardo to look at my face. You said this universe is full of infinite parallels, remember? Well, if that's the case, then what if in this one it's possible that the version of your family didn't die? I never thought of that, but there's of there being other versions of myself scattered all over the dimensions. What if there's another me here, in this one? I've seen Back to the Future. I know the possible paradox developing kind of stuff running into your own self can cause. But I have to see my brother. I have to hear his voice again. I can't leave until I do. I can't stop myself, even if I wanted to. You're right, Donatello. Anything's possible, I sighed. I fidgeted quietly in my seat for the remainder of the show, not really paying much attention to it. I was too excited and scared at the thought of seeing my brother at the public meet and greet after the show. The second the elephants left the building and the ringmaster thanked everyone for coming, it took every ounce of my strength not to bounce out of that seat and make a mad dash for the dark-haired man who resembled my brother. I had to know for sure. I had a death grip on the arm seats of my seat, my knuckles turning white almost immediately. I took deep, even breaths as I waited for the audience to clear the building. In and out, I chanted inside my head, and what seemed like hours passed by, the building was almost clear. But in reality, it had only been a few minutes. Millions of jumbled-up thoughts raced through my mind. Would he recognize me? Would he act or sound the same? I knew for certain deep down that I couldn't tell him who I was. Something just told me that would be a big no-no in Traveler 101. I looked over and saw the back of my brother, shaking hands with the last few stragglers left in the building. I took another deep breath and stood up. I'm surprised I haven't hyperventilated by now from all this oxygen. I tried to walk as relaxed and contained as possible, with the guys right behind staying a good 20 feet away to give us some space. He was just reaching for his robe and hadn't seen me behind him yet. I stopped dead in my track, only 3 feet away. My knees felt like jelly, and my palms were sweating. Hello, Felix. He stiffened, only for just a second before turning to face me. Our eyes met. My mother's pale gray eyes looking down upon me. It was him, amazingly wonderful him. Without thinking, instinct took over, and I quickly closed a 3-foot gap and hugged him. I inhaled his scent. He smelled almost exactly the same, except there was a hint of Old Spice in there somewhere. The hug felt so familiar, yet so different. I used to only come up to his waist, but now I was at his chest. I've missed him so much. I wonder if, do I know you? He asked, slightly weirded out, but breaking my train of thought. I quickly pulled back, blushing like a cherry tomato. He must think I'm some obsessed fan. You do look kind of familiar, and you're definitely Circus, he chuckled, obviously amused at my embarrassment. I should have known he'd know. We all do. The thing about us circus people is that we can sense other circus people before they even said that they are one of us. It's not some magical super ability. Just a good judge of body posture and speech, as we all carry ourselves the same way. Quick, Roxanne, think fast. Yeah, I'm your cousin from your mom's side. You know, your Uncle Pete that your mom lost contact with when she came to the States? Well, I'm his daughter. The lie slid easily. Well, almost easily. Yeah, my mom mentioned something about a brother a few years ago. He bought it, oh thank heavens. He looked me up and down. Now I see the family resemblance. Same hair. His eyes twinkled as he laughed, running a hand through his curly, dark brown hair. You got a name, cousin? He asked, holding out his hand for me to shake. Roxanne, I said without thinking, placing my hand in his. Man, I really should have just made one up. Sometimes I feel I'm too stupid to exist. Just roll with it, I told myself. His hand stiffened slightly at the sound of my name. Roxanne? That's pretty. I had a sister named Roxanne. The twinkle in his eyes seemed a little dimmer. Had? I puzzled in shock. I assumed there was another me around here somewhere. She passed away in an auto accident when I was 12, he said sadly. I'm sorry. Okay, did I just offer condolences to myself? So here I died, and they didn't. Speaking of them, where are your parents? I'd love to meet my aunt and uncle. I said, trying to sound as casual as possible, not like the screaming mess I was inside. What I really wanted to do was just hug him again. Oh, they left the lot after the act. Won't be back till Thursday. Sorry. Oh, I was extremely disappointed. Who are the Asian wannabes over there? More cousins? He joked, nodding to my 4 friends waiting patiently, watching. Oh, that's my troop. I motioned for them to come over. Guys, this is my cousin I've been telling you all about, Felix. Nice to meet you, greeted Leonardo. Hey, said Raphael nonchalantly. Pleased to make your acquaintance, sir. Smiled Donatello. Your cousin? Asked Mikey, puzzled. Then a second later, it hit him. Oh, your cousin! He sent me a slightly too obvious wink. Felix, this is my team, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael. Your folks must have been real historical buffs, huh? He joked as he shook each of their hands. You could say that, agreed Leonardo. Troop of what exactly? My brother asked. Flyers. It was the first thing that came to my mind that would be viable. We are? Stated a confused Donatello. Leonardo jabbed him in the ribs. Yeah, we, fly. On the trapeze, I finished for him, because I knew he would have been lost with the circus terms. Yeah, and not in the skies, because that would be ridiculous, said Mikey sarcastically. Flyers? What a lucky break. Are you guys booked somewhere tomorrow? Felix asked excitedly. No, we're off for a couple of weeks, I stated. My folks are headed south for a wedding, and our trip can't fly without my parents. Would you guys like to fill tomorrow? Oh, I don't know, I spoke hesitantly. Oh, come on, it's just 2 shows. You can even use our ratings so you don't have to set up yours. I can't promise much pay, but hey, you could say you worked on the Big Apple Circus, and that's what everyone wants. Please, you'd be doing your family a huge favor, he practically begged, grabbing my hand. Was all that came out of my mouth. Perfect, he cried happily. I gotta go. The wife will be wondering what happened to me, but I'll see you tomorrow when we're back soon. Wait, what? Bye, guys, he waved before quickly heading into the dressing room hallway. What did I just get myself into? No, this can't be happening. Okay, so, would someone like to explain to me what this show just went down here? Yelled a confused Mikey. Okay, so that was the next 4, yeah, so, gonna leave that there, and then I will post some more later. Alrighty, peace out, Knights.